So we have been in a period of rapidly rising inequality among workers of different educational levels since approximately 1980 till about 2010, when things plateaued. They didn't compress again till very recently, but they plateaued at a very high level. So the earnings differential between, for example, typical college workers and typical high school workers went from about 40 percentage points to about 90 percentage points between 1980 and 2000 approximately. And you might say, well, isn't it always the case that more educated workers earn more than less educated workers? And in general, the answer is yes. And that's economically logical because people have to spend money and spend time not working to go to school. So you'd expect them to earn more. You'd have to compensate them for doing that. Otherwise, they might not go. But the degree of that inequality has changed dramatically. And after the Second World War, there was a big compression of wages, and they stayed pretty compressed from the 1940s to the 1960s. And then in the 1970s, actually, the college-high school differential contracted. People were writing books called The Overeducated American by the labor economist Richard Freeman, saying, wow, we have too many college graduates. It's not worth it to send so many people to college because the cost of doing so doesn't compensate for the additional earnings, which we think of as a measure of productivity. And then that starts to change very quickly in 1980, and this gap expands, and it expands in two ways. One is the real earnings of people with a four-year degree and a graduate degree rises, but there is the real earnings of people with high school and less education, especially high school and less educated males, falls in real terms. So part of the reason the premium to higher education rises so much is that the penalty for not getting higher education grows. Now, that period of rising wage inequality has plateaued recently, even for at least for 15 years. It only in the last few years that it started to compress after the pandemic, and it has reversed substantially, but it's nowhere near where it was in 1980. And so this phenomenon of this kind of fanning out of the earnings distribution has had really unequal consequences. It's important to remember that only 40% of American workers have a four-year college degree, and that was lower back in 1980. So really this creates a situation where a minority of workers are doing extremely well, and a majority of workers are actually seeing falling fortunes, right? Many of the jobs they would have done in manufacturing, in office work, increasingly automated or outsourced, and people are increasingly doing those low-paid service jobs like those crossing guards or food service, cleaning, entertainment, recreation, security. And again, socially valuable work, it's poorly paid because it's inexpert, meaning many, many people can do it.